Hi Yin Yogis, I'm Sue and I'm here at the studio today to talk to you a little bit about how to use props during your Yin Yoga practice. So at the studio I've got access to lots and lots of props. So I have a couple of bolsters here, I have a stack of blankets, I've got a stack of blocks. All of these things you can use during your Yin Yoga practice just to enhance your poses, to come into a space that seems a little bit more productive for you. So the first pose we're going to come in today will be into a Dragonfly pose. So for Dragonfly pose, if you like, you can turn yourself on your mat so that your heels will be on the mat. So if you're a little bit sensitive to the heels being on the hard floor, you've got a little bit of a cushion here. Now, if you're already feeling a little bit tight in your hips, you can take a blanket. Now you can take a blanket where it's folded a little bit flat, or you can fold that over so it's thicker, and then sit right on your blanket. Now that's going to lift your hips a little bit, and it should bring a little bit more comfort if you have tight hips. Now if you don't have that issue, no tight hips, you can sit right on the floor, right on your mat. So in this Dragonfly pose, we're going to come into a lateral stretch. That just means we're going to start to stretch the sidelines of the body. So let's start by taking a block, and you could take a couple of blocks here if you like. And we're going to bring the blocks to the inside of the left knee. So inside of your knee, and then you can place your elbow to rest right on the blocks. So if you're already feeling a really good stretch, this is the perfect place for you. You can bend your elbow, make a little fist. Now make sure that your fingernails are not digging into the palm of your hand. And then let your head rest here. Now you can go a little bit deeper. Maybe release one of the blocks, go down a little bit further. You could take your right arm, place it behind your back. It's a little half bind here. If you like, you can bring your arm up and overhead. That may make this stretch on the side of your body feel deeper. You'll let your arm just rest here. So it's not just hanging out in the middle of the room, it's resting on your head. Now find a comfortable place. Use the props in a way that seems to make sense for you. You don't have to use any props at all if you would prefer not to. I've got a timer here in my hand. I'm going to keep an eye on the time. So when you're ready, close your eyes. And just start to let yourself become part of the pose. So while you're here, you're going to soften. I'll start softening through your toes, your ankles, soften through your legs. So feel the tops of your legs, feel the back of your legs. I'll feel your inner thighs. Maybe on the leg to which you are leaning, you feel a little bit more of a stretch on your inner thigh, maybe even the back of the thigh. Now notice how you're feeling in the upper body. Try to release through your low back. Notice if your glutes are clenching up, soften there. And if the arm is overhead, just notice how that feels on your head. You want to make sure your neck is supported here. So there's no strain, there's no stress. Now you're sitting quietly, finding stillness in your pose. So using the props in a way that you can become still. You feel that there's stress, you feel that your body is working, there's sensation in the body. But it's not so much that you want to pop up or wiggle or fidget while you're in your yin pose. Just start to feel into your breath. And feel the calm and the quiet. Partway through the pose, you might check in and just notice if you started to tense up anywhere. Check out your toes, your ankles. Notice how you feel in your legs. Release the glutes, the back. Just allow your body to absorb this stretch. Now when you're ready to come out of the pose, you're going to release that upper arm first, and then you can use that hand to support you as you're lifting out. So you can press down through your hand, use a little bit of arm strength to lift your upper body. Now you're going to take as long as you like to come out of this. So if you want to move a little bit more slowly, that's perfect. You're just going to come into a space where your spine is stacked. Shoulders are over the hips, and then pause for a breath or two in stillness. Just feel into your body. Feel the effects for your low body. Feel the effects for your upper and your side body. And then we'll go right to the other side. So you can use your props in the same way. You may find that you have a little bit more space on one side than the other, so use your props accordingly. You can use your block again. It can be tilted to any height, maybe a couple of blocks stacked on each other. So find that right place. You're going to bring this time your right elbow to the inside of your right knee. So maybe that's on a block, maybe that's right all the way to the mat. Now you can adjust here for your left arm, a half bind here, or you can bring the arm overhead, just allow it to rest on your head. So once you found your way into the pose, once you feel you're in the space where you want to work, then close your eyes and travel through your body. So make sure you're not holding on to any tension. So in our Yin Yoga practice, what makes it different than a Yang Yoga, like a Hatha or a Vinyasa practice, is that you're allowing your connective tissue to take on the stress of the poses. The muscles are completely soft, so they're not working. If you find that you're tensing up or you're engaging your muscles, do your best to soften. So check out your legs. Feel the back of your legs, feel the inside of your thighs. Let those muscles soften. And then feel into your glute muscles. Allow that part of your body to soften and relax. Now you're leaning to the side, so notice how you feel in the left side body. Always making sure the neck is protected, so finding a comfortable space. And then settle into stillness. So come into your breath, allow your body to be still, and allow your thoughts to quiet. Slowly begin to make your way out, so you can use your hand to press down and lift your upper body. If you ever feel like you need an extra moment just to pause, then take that time for you. Listen to your body. Your body is your very best teacher. So once you found your way back through center, you're stacking your spine. Stay in stillness for a breath or two. Just feel the energy as it moves through your body. Feel the effects from the pose. We'll come through center in this next part of Dragonfly. So if there's anything in your way, you can just move things off to the side. And you can just start to walk your hands forward. Now, as you're walking yourself forward, you might feel that this is way too much for your inner thighs, maybe for your back. So in that case, you're going to use some props here, find some support. So you could use your blocks. You could take your forearms and rest them on the blocks. And the forearms can be, or the blocks can be at any height. They could be a little bit higher here. If you're feeling like this is still a lot, too much for you to be able to be still, then find your bolster, a bolster or two. You can place that bolster in front of you, and then the blocks can come on top. And so that's going to lift you a little bit higher, and you're still able to feel some of the effects of the stretch. Remember, you can also sit on a blanket, sit on a bolster, or sit on a block, and lifting your hips takes a little bit of the stress out of it. Now, there's also a really fun way that you can use your bolster and the blocks together. You can use the blocks underneath the bolster, so it just kind of gives you this little bit of an incline. You can lean forward this way. You could make it even higher. So you can use the blocks one high, one low, one high, one medium, however you want. And that's going to lift you up even more. So once you found the place that feels right, you can let your chin or your forehead rest on your hands. Close your eyes and take that little trip through your body. So taking a trip through your body, just finding a space where you can let go of any muscular tension, muscular strength. So notice if you're holding any tension. Now let's talk about the target. So the target would be the hips here, and as you round forward, you're also targeting your spine. So the big target is the hips, and let's talk about releasing tension from the big target. So think about how you feel in your hip sockets and everything that radiates from that space. So notice if your glutes are engaged, you want to soften your glutes, and then feel into your inner thighs, the top of your thighs, and the back of your thighs, so your hamstrings. Now travel down your legs. You might feel a little bit of a tug or a pull on your inner knees. Just soften. Make sure the ankles and the toes are soft. If you are accustomed to more of a yang practice, you may automatically flex your ankles and try to pull your toes toward you. I'm not worried about that in your yin practice. Let all of that go. Now as you're rounding forward, give some attention to your low back, so feel some space there, broaden. And then just feel your spine curling or curving forward, giving your body support in any way that it wants it. I'll soften through your shoulders, soften through the back of your neck. And then just bring your attention to your breath. And we'll have quiet for a few moments. Now use your hands to press into the floor or onto the mat, and very slowly, arm strength, lifts your upper body. So being kind, being thoughtful and careful about how you're using your back. Now you're coming through center, just pause. So you may feel a lot of relief now through your hip area, through your thighs, maybe some relief through your back. Just feel your body. Now as you are ready to come out of the pose, we've been in this place for quite a while with the low body, so you want to give yourself a little support coming out. So you can take your hands either behind your knees or your thighs. You could pull in one leg at a time or both legs at the same time. Move as slowly as your body is asking you to move. Now you might pause for a moment once both of your knees are bent, maybe even curl and wrap yourself around your legs. So feel your knees now feel just a little bit different. Again, your thighs, your hips. Now you can start to move the body in any way that you're inclined to. So if you're feeling like moving in a certain way, that's what you're supposed to do. I'll give you a couple of examples or a couple of suggestions. So from here, you can just lean back on your hands, keep the knees bent, maybe work through the toes or the ankles. You could windshield wiper your knees side to side. That usually feels pretty good for your low back or for your hips. While we were rounding forward, you might feel like you need a little bit of a back bend here, so you can always press down through your sits bones, press down through your hands, squeeze the shoulder blades together and lift your heart. To recover from forward folds, you might also work a twist through your spine. So you could twist from a seated position. You'll take any movements that feel right. It doesn't matter if they have been cued. It's what your body wants, what your body needs. That's the right place to go. So let's come into another pose. When you're ready, we're going to come into a butterfly pose. So butterfly pose, you're going to take the soles of your feet. They will come together. And in your yin practice, you are encouraged to press forward through your heels. So there's a lot of space between your body and your heels. So there's this great big diamond shape. Now, while you're here, if you're already feeling like this is a lot for your body to sustain, you can support yourself here. You could take a couple of blocks, place them underneath your knees or your thighs. So the blocks are nice and firm, and sometimes that can get a little bit uncomfortable if you're going to hold it for a little while. So you could do the same with a bolster, place a bolster under each thigh, or maybe more accessible is to place a blanket that's been folded underneath your knees and your thighs. So find a place right here in the beginning that feels good, that makes sense, that works for your body. Now once you found that place, you can start to round forward. So your head kind of drops down toward your heels or the floor. Now if that's feeling not so good, maybe it's through your hips or through your back, then you'll find support. Now you can take one of your bolsters. Now if you don't have a bolster at home, you can always use a pillow, a firm pillow, or a cushion. Now you can tilt your bolster, place it on its side, and then just lean forward. So you get a couple of bonuses here. It allows your shoulders to soften, but also the weight from the bolster presses down on your knees, and it might just open your hips a little bit more, so that might feel nice. Now, if that is not what you're looking for, but you still want support, you can use your blocks again. So maybe make a tower with your blocks. You can stack your blocks one on top of the other so that as you're leaning forward, the forehead can rest on the blocks. So find a place that makes sense for you, a place where you feel like you can sustain for a little while. So you can stay upright if that's the best place for you. Now close your eyes and let your body soften, let your body relax. Now we're holding these poses for about 3 minutes, 3 minutes on each side if it's a pose that has 2 sides to it. And that's kind of the beginner spot for our Yin Yoga practice. As you're practicing more, as you're feeling a little bit more open, as you're ready for longer holds, you can increase that hold to 5 minutes or 7 minutes. You can hold it as long as it feels right. Just be really mindful about your body as you're holding poses for longer periods of time. Now here in your butterfly pose, think about what your target is. So our big target again would be the hips in this butterfly. So soften through your hips. Start to notice how you feel on your inner thighs. Notice how you feel on the outer thighs. Now feel the soles of your feet just softly touching one another. And then as you're leaning forward, allow the back of the neck to soften. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel your low back find some space. Let all of your muscles completely give in. And then once your body is in that space of stillness, then your work moves on to your mind, to your thoughts. So that can be a big piece of your Yin Yoga practice. Trying to discipline your mind to stay focused on this moment, to be present right here. Sometimes the breath helps you stay present. So maybe pay a little more attention to when you're breathing and how you're breathing. Notice the moment you start to breathe in, feel that breath as it travels through your body. You might even hold on to the breath a little bit. Find stillness in your breath and your body. And then as you're ready to exhale, watch the breath move through your body again. How it's changed, how it's different. Maybe at the end of your breath, when you're breathless, you'll pause again. Now keep this going, noticing your breath, following your breath, until you feel your mind is calm and centered. Now when you're ready, you'll slowly make your way out. You might press your hands onto the floor, maybe onto your feet or your legs as you're walking yourself up. Once you are lifted up, once your spine is stacked, pause for a moment and be still. Moving whenever you're ready to move. You might take your hands to the outside of your knees and bring your knees together first. And you could pause here. Maybe this feels really nice. This is a new space. Feel your energy, feel the change. When you're ready, you can straighten out through your legs, so as slowly as you like, and then just pause once the legs are straight. Now when you're ready to move, any movement that you like. So you might start small. Just start to draw some circles with your toes, work through your ankles. You can bend the knees, lean back, windshield wiper the knees side to side. You can take that seated back bend, rolling forward. So seated back bend might feel really nice. You can take a twist here. Now, if your body's calling for something a little more yang, so a little more movement, a little bit stronger, you can always come into a downward facing dog, come into cow-cats. Everything is on the table, whatever feels good. Now reset your body. You're moving as long as you feel the body needs to move or wants to move. And then we'll come into our next pose. So we're going to come into a pose called half saddle. So for half saddle, you're going to start with your feet out in front of you. And then take your hand, I guess we're starting on the left side. Take your left hand to your left ankle and bring your hip to your heel. So right away, your body's going to talk to you. It may be that there's a little too much going on in your ankle. It could be the knee here that's speaking to you. If you're feeling anything that is painful, you're going to back away from it. We don't do pain in yoga. So one way to soften this is to sit on a block, sit on a blanket, or sit on a bolster. So when you sit on the blanket, the block, or the bolster, it lifts up your hips. And it's going to give you a little more space for your ankle, a little more space for your knee. So maybe this is it. This is perfect right here. You've come into the pose where you want to stay. So if you are here and it's not quite enough, you're on your seats, not quite enough, then you can start to lean back a little bit. So as you're leaning back, you can come to rest on your hands, but if you rest on your hands for a long time, it's going to start to make your wrist a little bit sore. So instead of resting on the hands, you can take a bolster or blocks, and the blocks can be at any height, and you'll just lean back on the blocks. So that way you're lifted a little bit higher. Maybe it's not too much of a stretch here, but you're not working through your wrists. Now, you could always use the bolster and the blocks at the same time. So that'll just lift you a little bit higher. You could use the bolster in a different way, the bolsters and the block in a different way. So as we did before, you can use the blocks to angle your bolster. So if you do that behind you, so you've got your bolster at an angle behind you, then you can just lean back and let your body rest on the bolster. So those are all options using props, giving yourself a little extra space. If you are not interested in using the props, if your body wants you to go a little bit deeper, you can come back onto your elbows, your forearms at first. And then from here, I like to bend the knee of the opposite leg, and that usually gives me a pretty good stretch. If you're still wanting more, you're going to come back onto your shoulders. Now from your shoulders, if you still want more, interlace your fingers behind your thigh and start to pull your knee toward you. So I'm coming up to set the timer. You find the space that's just right for you. Allow yourself to get comfortable and close your eyes. Now, if you are propped up on the bolster, you can bring your arms wide, palms up and open, and you might feel broadening through your chest, opening through your heart. You might feel the top of your arms or your shoulders get a little bit of a stretch here. If you are all the way on your back, reclined all the way on your back, just make sure that it feels okay in that little curve of your low back, no stress there. So finding a place where everything is comfortable enough to be still, but difficult enough to feel sensation, to feel that there's work going on in your body. Now soften here. Let's take one side of the body and then the other. So soften through the bent knee side. Think about how you feel in your ankle and your knee, and then try to find some space, some comfort there. It's stretching, but it's not too much. Now feel the top of your thigh, feel the quadriceps getting a nice stretch. You might also feel the stretch in your hip flexor. Now think about the opposite side. Think about your straight leg. Just soften through your toes, your ankle. Allow your toes to just fall out to the side. They're not working. Your leg is not active. Feel soft through the top of your thigh, your inner thigh. Do your best to relax and release through your hips. Broadening through your low back. Feeling some comfort in your shoulders. Soften through your neck. And then especially if you're reclined, feel open through your front body. So soft in your belly, open through your chest. Allow your mind to quiet down. Maybe give your attention to your breath. Now to make your way out, if you are reclined all the way down, you're going to come onto your elbows and then use your arms, your hands to lift up. I apologize, I went a little bit over. This pose feels pretty awesome, so sometimes I lose track a little bit. No worries, we're going to balance that on the other side. Now to come out with your low body, you're going to take your hand to your ankle, release, keeping your calf and your hamstring connected, and then just bring your foot forward. Now you might want to pause again here, feel some sensations through your ankle, through your knee. I'll pause here as long as you like. When you're ready, very slowly, you're going to start to straighten out through your left leg. Ooh, so feel that leg straighten. So I feel it an awful lot through the knees. Now pause here, feel energy move, feel changes through your body, feel sensations. And you can stay still as long as you like. You might want to linger in stillness, just absorbing the pose a little bit longer. When you're ready, little movements or big movements, start small. Same movements that you've done before if they feel really good. Now here, your back may have been in a different position. So instead of rounding forward, we were leaning back. So you may want to counter that this time with a little bit of a forward fold, just rounding forward. So as we're resetting the body, we are a little more young, so we are stretching out the muscles and just getting blood flowing through the whole body. Now when you're ready to move on, we're going to go to the other side. So this is one of those postures where right side, left side, we have to do the same to both sides. So we'll start by just taking the hand to the ankle, bringing your heel to your hip, and then evaluate how you feel on this side. It can feel completely different. One side to the other. Typically one side feels a little more open, one side might feel a little bit more strong. So find the place that works on this side of your body. So we have all the same options. You can elevate your hips by sitting on a blanket, a bolster, or a block. So find that space if you're feeling a lot of tension through your knee, through your ankle, or even through your hip. Now, once you've found the place that's right for you as far as your seat, then think about what you'd like to do leaning back. Now, you could stay straight up. This is perfect. You're feeling a lot of work going on. That means this is the right place for you. You can start to lean back. Now, remember, if you're just on your hands, that can start to cause some pressure in your wrists. So you can use the block, maybe a couple of blocks or blocks in a bolster, and come down onto your forearms. Now, if you're on your forearms and you still want a little bit more stretch or stress, you can bend the opposite leg, so the straight leg, and just see how that feels. Now you can also use your bolster and blocks to create a wedge that comes underneath you so that you can lie on your back. Now you could use your bolster without any blocks and just come straight down on the bolster. So come into the posture that feels best for you. I will try to do a little better job on this side of making sure that we're coming out on time. So as you're making your way into your pose, just allow yourself to soften and relax. So we're going to start again with the bent knee side. Relax any tension you might feel in your joints, so in your ankle and in your knee. Soften there. Know that if it's too much, and come out of it. Now notice if you're using any muscular strength on the bent knee side, so soften through your thigh, the top of your thigh, the inner thigh, soften through your glutes. And then notice the straight leg side, so it's all soft, your toes are gently falling toward the side. Feel that there's no work, there's no action on that straight leg. Now start to bring some attention through the upper body, feel into your low back, feel into your shoulders. Now, especially if you have the arms wide, just feel some space. Feel the shoulders maybe gently pull toward one another. Feel open on the front side of your body. Maybe you feel your neck is exposed. Find stillness here. Find a place where the body is totally calm. And start thinking about what you're thinking about. So you may notice in the moments of quiet that you think about the same things over and over. Now, do your best to put those thoughts aside. That's very hard. Your brain wants to stay busy. It wants to keep moving. So feel free to come back to your breath. Take mindful breaths, full breaths, thoughtful breaths. where all of your focus is on your breath. Now, after some practice, this won't seem quite as hard. You'll be able to keep your attention focused. Just like anything else, it takes practice. Come back to it day after day. And then soon enough, you're able to drop in. Just drop into quiet, finding a space where the mind can be still. Make your way out of your pose as slowly as you like. Use support here, so you can use your arms to lift your upper body. You can pause again once your upper body is lifted. And then as you're ready, you're going to take your legs out of it. So hand comes to the ankle. Keep your hamstring and your calf connected as you bring your foot forward. So once your foot is flat on the floor, you might want to pause again here. Just feel into your ankle, feel into your knee. And then as you're ready, a little bit of support to straighten out that leg, just nice and slow. So now your whole body has left the pose. Just feel the effects from the pose. Feel the difference on the right side of your body, the left side of your body. Allow your body to just absorb and feel. Try to connect with your body. Now moving in any way that speaks to you. So start with little movements. Windshield wiper, take a back bend, take a twist, take a forward fold. Whatever the body's asking for. Now if the body is asking to stay in stillness, then you stay in stillness. Just finding a place where you feel like you're ready to take on whatever the next pose is. Now, when you're ready, we're going to come into the final pose of every single practice. At the end of our practice, we always come into Shavasana. So today for Shavasana, we've got all kinds of props. We've got fun things to make this pose even better, to enhance this pose. Now, my favorite way to use a prop in Shavasana is to take a bolster and place that bolster underneath the knees. So you've got some support here. The back line is broken just a little bit. You're still going to separate the feet nice and wide. Now in your yin practice, you're going to take up as much space as you like. So arms as wide as you like, feet as wide as you like. Now if you prefer some support underneath your back during Shavasana, you can always take a bolster underneath your back, a blanket that's rolled up underneath, whatever feels comfortable. Now you might also use your blanket to warm up a little bit in your Shavasana. So some people like the blanket just on the feet for Shavasana. Some people like to take the blanket and cover the whole body. Use the blanket as you like, so maybe if it's a little bit warm where you are, you're not interested in using a blanket. If it's a little bit chilly, use a couple of blankets, get really snuggled in. So once you've found your Shavasana pose, arms wide, palms are up, then think about relaxing through your entire body. So take a trip through your body. You can start at your toes, feel your toes soften and relax. You can feel your feet gently falling away from one another, so the toes just fall out. And then soften through your ankles. Feel your shins and feel your calves. You might feel a little bit of space in your knee joint. And then allow the tops of your thighs to soften, and the back of your legs. Feel your hamstrings. Now feel into your hip sockets. We've done some work for the hips today, so they might feel just a little bit more open. Notice your back. Find space in your low back. Feel your mid-back flat on the mat, feeling supported. You might walk your shoulder blades in just a little bit. And then feel your neck. Feel a little bit of space between your neck and the mat and soften. Now feel the back of your head against the mat. Feel the support that you're getting. No work here, no effort necessary. Feel the front of your body, feel your belly soft, so no work for the core. Feel that your heart is open, expanding. Feel some space on your neck. And then notice the muscles of your face, so let your cheeks soften. Feel that your lips are softly touching, but there's a little space between your teeth. Relax your ears. Let your forehead just smooth out. And then be still. Be still and breathe. Rest in your Shavasana as long as you like, as long as you're still present, not falling asleep. It's been an honor for me to guide you through your practice. The love and the light within me honors and recognizes the love and the light within each of you. Namaste.